Tonight, reporting live from the Vatican as the papal conclave is about to get underway. But we start with the travel chaos deepening in a major airline hub. 4-hour inbound delays day after day. An air traffic controller tells us they've had 3 instances where they lost radio and radar with planes since August. Just breaking, the deadly outbreak of violence in Kashmir as India and Pakistan exchange strikes. Reports of 2 Indian jets shot down. Are they on the brink of war? The trade showdown with an ally. Canada's new prime minister at the White House telling the president some places are never for sale. President Trump saying never say never. After a 3rd grader was swept away in floodwaters, the new severe storm impacts in the south. Preparing to pick a new pope inside the Sistine Chapel ahead of the conclave, the send-off as the American cardinals ready for days of isolation. We take you to the heart of it in St. Peter's Square. The ramming incident at Jennifer Aniston's Bel Air mansion, what we have just learned about the suspect's apparent social media posts about her. And the firefighters who helped rescue a big rig driver dangling over a highway.
This is NBC Nightly News, the Papal Conclave. Reporting tonight from the Vatican, here is Lester Holt.
Good evening. On the eve of the Papal Conclave, we will tell you what to expect tomorrow as the world's gaze turns to the Sistine Chapel and the chimney that may soon signal the election of a new pope. But we begin tonight with the troubled skies above the heavily traveled Northeast, severely impacting Newark's Liberty Airport. More than 200 delays or canceled flights today. And now, 1 week after Newark airspace controllers reported losing both radios and radars for anywhere from 45 to 90 seconds, a current veteran controller claims it wasn't the first time, saying time seemed to stand still as they lost all contact with the passenger planes flying through the busy region. Here's NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello.
Tonight, a current veteran Newark controller tells NBC News last Monday was not the first time they went dark, saying it's probably the 3rd time since last August that we lost both radar and radios at once. But we've lost radios about 8 to 9 times. Last Monday, other facilities warned pilots.
3 of the 4 radar screens went black, and they have no frequencies.
The Newark airspace controller talking to NBC News says it lasted for 45 seconds, telling us we went to backup radios. That didn't work. Nothing worked. It was a scary moment. These planes with people with lives in them are flying, and no one is talking to them. They were flying in the dark. It was like a cone of silence. While the Newark Tower controls the runways, the airspace above the tower, up to 10,000 feet, is controlled by the Newark TRACON. To address controller shortages, last year the FAA moved those TRACON controllers to a consolidated facility in Philadelphia. But the data feeds have proven unreliable.
And they want you to be advised that they may not be able to radar contact you because of the radar issues.
Citing intense stress from the loss of comms, 5 Newark controllers reportedly left seeking short-term disability.
The controllers said they're traumatized and they're not on duty right now. I want to make sure that my controllers are of good mind and good spirit when they come in. It's an intense job.
Again today, flights leaving for Newark were delayed more than 4 hours. The airport and FAA blame equipment failures, runway construction, weather, and a shortage of controllers. But bringing in controllers from other facilities is not a fast option. Certified controllers would need additional training, sometimes at the academy, before taking over at Newark. The FAA says it takes up to 1.5 years to certify at an ATC facility. But for anyone traveling through Newark, frustration.
This is like 3 extra layers of stress.
The FAA warns it could last for months.
And Tom, how is the FAA trying to reassure travelers tonight?
Yeah, the FAA insists the system is safe. It is slowing traffic into and out of Newark. As you know, United canceled nearly 36 flights, daily flights. The bottom line is the ATC system is going to be overhauled, according to the DOT, but that will take years, maybe 3 to 4 years to get it completed, Lester.
All right, Tom Costello, thanks. Now to breaking news, the alarming new military confrontation between India and Pakistan. And President Trump just speaking out about it as well. Keir Simmons is tracking it for us tonight. Keir, what's the latest?
Well, Lester, tonight, India says it has targeted 9 sites, quote, hitting terrorist infrastructure. In new video, explosions can be seen and heard in what Pakistan says is 3 areas, saying civilians, including a child, have been killed. We're also getting in this new video of chaotic scenes in a Pakistan hospital. Tensions between the 2 nuclear armed force powers soared after a deadly militant attack on tourists on Indian-administered Kashmir last month. There has been a long-running dispute over Kashmir between India and Pakistan for decades. And tonight, Lester, Pakistan just said it shot down 2 Indian jets. All of it a major test for President Trump, who tonight said, "It's a shame. I just hope it ends very quickly." Lester?
All right, Keir Simmons with that breaking news. Thank you. We turn now to the high-stakes meeting at the White House. President Trump welcoming Canada's new leader amid his trade war with our ally. Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
Once close allies, now feuding neighbors. Today, President Trump and Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, met at the White House despite mounting tensions.
Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state. Were you joking?
No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes 2 to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens.
That's when Carney spoke up.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale. And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
To which President Trump responded,
"Never say never. Never say never."
Carney was elected amid backlash over the president's tariffs on Canadian products like steel, aluminum, and auto parts.
Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada.
Still, no signs of any imminent trade deal with Canada to lower tariffs.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada.
Or with China either.
We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We've been ripped off by everybody for 50 years. And we're just not going to do that anymore.
Mattel, which makes Barbies and Hot Wheels, now says it's considering hiking prices because of tariffs on Chinese imports. Last month, the president said negotiations with China were underway.
We've been meeting with China.
But today, his Treasury Secretary told Congress talks had not started.
Can you clarify that?
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now.
But you haven't met with them yet?
I have not met with them, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you.
Instead, the president did tell reporters about a major development out of the Middle East. The Houthis agreeing to stop targeting U.S. vessels. The Iran-backed militia had snarled global trade by attacking ships in the Red Sea for more than a year, saying it was in protest of the war in Gaza. The president announcing in exchange he'll suspend U.S. strikes against the Houthis.
We will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word.
But the Houthis vow to still target Israel, who overnight bombed an airport in Yemen after a Houthi strike near Tel Aviv.
And Gabe, also today, the Supreme Court handed the Trump administration a victory on a controversial ban at the Pentagon. Tell us about it.
Yes, Lester, the Supreme Court is allowing President Trump to implement his ban on transgender people serving in the military, at least for now, while litigation continues. Lester?
Gabe Gutierrez, thanks. It has already been a violent week of severe storms we've been watching. A 3rd grader's body was recovered after being washed away. 10-year-old Deva Woods went missing in Brenham, Texas, Monday after stepping off a school bus with her sibling. And with millions on the lookout for severe weather, at least one possible tornado hit Jewett, Texas already today. And the flash flood risk from Texas to Alabama could bring 4 to 6 inches of rain through Thursday. Here at the Vatican, we are now just hours away from the start of the Conclave, the highly secretive process of picking the next pope. And you can feel the anticipation in St. Peter's Square. Inside the Sistine Chapel, beneath Michelangelo's famed frescoes, now sit long rows of tables and chairs for the 133 cardinal electors who will choose the next pope. Today, cardinals boarding buses and heading to the Vatican residences where they'll stay during the conclave and meeting one last time before the cloak of secrecy falls.
Prayer is what we need.
They certainly have been talking a lot about continuity.
Father Dave Dwyer hosts the Busted Halo show on Sirius XM Radio.
There's so much palpable excitement, tension in the air.
He says these pre-conclave discussions are critical.
What they're doing in these days is the thing that they won't be able to do once they're inside the Sistine Chapel. Once they're in the chapel, they're really only voting. So in these...
There's no speeches. There's no speeches. Talking about philosophies.
That's what they're doing now.
The Cardinals will take an oath of secrecy tomorrow. Then they will be sealed off from the outside world. They will hand over their phones and will stay together, eat together, until a new pope is picked. Even the Vatican staff has taken a vow of secrecy. During voting, their ballots will be burned in the 2 stoves inside the Sistine Chapel. The first vote is expected tomorrow afternoon. If there is no agreement, we'll look for black smoke to come out of that chimney. When a pope is elected, we will see white smoke, and we will also likely see this square erupt in wild celebration. Today, the fisherman's ring worn by Pope Francis was officially defaced, while the vestments that will be worn by his successor now stand ready, prepared in 3 sizes for whoever is chosen as the next pope.
The Pope makes a big difference in Catholic life. You know, he sets the tone. And so a lot of people are a little nervously wondering what's coming next.
Great anticipation here tonight. We are just hours away from that long-awaited deadline for travelers to bring a real ID with them to the airport. All of it sparking massive lines at DMV locations as people make the switch. With more, here's Maggie Vespa.
Tonight, the reality of Real ID hitting home coast to coast, with long lines inundating America's DMVs, some waiting up to 4 hours to make the switch before tomorrow's deadline.
I brought a chair and I brought two cell phones full of batteries. Unfortunately, this is my life today.
Beginning tomorrow, TSA will start requiring passengers boarding domestic flights show Real ID compliant driver's licenses or state IDs. In most cases, a Real ID has a gold star. In California, it's a bear. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem today saying passengers without Real IDs or other acceptable forms, including a valid passport, should allow more time.
If it's not compliant, they may be diverted to a different line, have an extra step, but people will be allowed to fly.
Do you have your Real ID yet? No.
Congress first passed the Real ID Act in 2005 after the 9/11 Commission recommended stronger federal standards for state IDs. TSA stressing 81% of air travelers in the U.S. now have acceptable IDs. Some travelers not convinced.
I think it's going to be crazy. I think people don't understand that deadline.
We asked DHS how long people without Real IDs will be able to fly with extra screening. They didn't say, but told us they'll enforce Real ID and ensure there's no impact to wait times for those with acceptable identification. Lester.
Maggie Vespa, thank you. In 60 seconds, the security scare at Jennifer Aniston's mansion. What we just learned about what appear to be social media posts from the suspect. And the arrests after a Times Square melee were teens who attacked police officers, members of a gang. Authorities have made an arrest in that security incident at Jennifer Aniston's home as troubling details emerge from what appear to be the suspect's social media posts. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, authorities announcing new details about the man they say rammed his car into the gate of Jennifer Aniston's Bel Air mansion. 48-year-old Jimmy Wayne Carwile of Mississippi arrested on suspicion of felony vandalism. According to LAPD, the frightening incident happened just after noon Monday while the Friends actress was inside her home.
Security has the suspect at gunpoint.
Aniston's private security jumped into action, detaining the man outside the property before LAPD officers arrived.
Is on the ground, out of the vehicle. The suspect had drove the vehicle through the front gate.
Carwile's motive not immediately clear. However, over the past year, he has made several posts on what appears to be his Facebook page referencing Aniston, including referring to her as his bride and writing that there is corruption going on to keep him from her.
Right in front of you, Jennifer.
This not the first time Aniston has dealt with a security scare. In 2005, while Aniston was out of town, a man took a taxi to her rented Malibu home, climbed over a fence, and broke into the property. He was then confronted by Aniston's employees. The actress also obtained a restraining order against a suspected stalker who in 2010 was prowling around areas in LA he thought she frequented while carrying a sharp object, duct tape, and love letters addressed to Aniston. The A-list star has reportedly lived in her $21 million mid-century modern mansion since 2012, telling Glamour magazine her home is her safe space.
Now, as for this latest incident, according to authorities, Jennifer Aniston is okay. Neither she or representatives for her have commented. The suspect is being held without bail. Lester.
Liz Kreutz, thanks. We're back in a moment with the big news on the heels of the most watched Kentucky Derby in nearly 30 years. Why the champion won't get a shot at the Triple Crown. The NYPD has arrested 5 men they say are members of the Tren de Aragua gang for an attack against their officers in Times Square on Friday. The officers engaged the group and were ambushed, pelted with scooters, basketballs, and other makeshift weapons. The NYPD also called this a targeted attack by repeat offenders. The horse racing world will go without a Triple Crown champion for a 7th consecutive year. Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty will not compete in the Preakness Stakes, the second leg of the circuit. Sovereignty won the 151st Kentucky Derby with 7-to-1 odds. And a California family came dangerously close to a bear after it climbed into their car through an unlocked door. The bear was stuck inside for over 2 hours. The family noticed the car's flashing lights after their dog woke them in the middle of the night. The bear finally escaped after the family shot a pellet gun through the windshield. When we come back, the daring rescue saving a semi-truck driver dangling over an overpass. Why it was deja vu all over again for one city's firefighters. There's good news tonight about a daring rescue that saved a truck driver dangling from an overpass. Our Emily Aketa with more from the heroes who made it happen.
It was a heart-stopping scene in Louisville, Kentucky. The cab of a tractor-trailer precariously dangling from an overpass with the driver inside.
This is 911.
Guys, please help me. I'm about to fall down from the bridge.
Within a few minutes, first responders flooded the scene Sunday as a dispatcher reassured the driver, thinking of his family.
If I don't survive, can you just leave the recordings to my family too?
Yeah, they're going to get you out, okay?
And that's exactly what this team did. Harnessed to a rope system, a Louisville firefighter was gingerly lowered into the cab of the truck.
And once he's in there, he has to get that climb harness onto the victim and then tie him in so that it can then hoist them out of there.
Fire Chief Brian O'Neill has only witnessed this kind of daring operation once before, just last year when a big rig hung over the Ohio River. Remarkably, in both incidents, everyone was okay. And this driver even thanking first responders from the sky.
When you saw that driver flash you guys the thumbs up, what did that mean to you?
Meant the world. We see people oftentimes on their worst day. So when you get to know that this person who had this frightening moment that is now gone to safety, gets to be reunited with his family, that's exactly why we do the job.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Those are 10-foot-tall heroes. That's nightly news for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.